It's got to be the team with the best defense, Molly. That's the Washington football team.
Well, Washington clearly has the best defense.
The number one for me is going to be the Washington football team. You look at the pass rush, it's top tier.
I'm going to go with the Washington football team. Hey, come on, Mike. This was the layup. This is easy.
It has been easy the past few years to get excited about this Washington defense, especially when they drafted 5 first-round defenders from 2017 to 2021. But there has just been something missing to keep them from that elite tier. And sure, you can blame injuries. They have definitely played a role with so many over the past couple years, but it's more than that. They are right on the cusp of greatness thanks to guys like Chase Young, the former 2nd overall pick, Montez Sweat, one of the most athletic edges we've ever seen in the NFL, Darren Payne, the man who just signed a 4-year, $90 million deal, and perhaps the best of all, Jonathan Allen, who is, I'd argue, a top 5 defensive tackle in the game. Plus, they found a young star on the rise, Cameron Curl, in the 7th round. There's definitely major talent on this defense. They also have one of the best defensive minds in the game, defensive coordinator Jack Del Rio. Now, Del Rio loves to run quarters coverage. They ran it 4th most in the league at 23.4%. They also ran cover 0 9th most in the league at 2.6%. So Del Rio gives a lot of responsibility to his outside corners who often use man principles without any help over the top. They are the last line of defense, and well, that did not go great for Washington at times. They just did not have the talent at cornerback or nickel. I mean, they rotated starters with an old and frankly cooked William Jackson III, Benjamin St. Juste, and Rashad Wildgoose. For real. That's a real player that, just like you, I have never heard of. And I believe the cornerback and nickel were the true missing pieces, keeping this defense from being one of the very best. They were only 10th in passing defense EPA, and with a pass rush like theirs, one would expect a top 5 in that category. And even worse, they were 26th in points allowed at 343 points. Now, some of the points allowed can be associated with bad field positioning. They were middle of the pack in total first downs on offense, and more time on the field due to a higher amount of turnovers. They were tied for 8th most total turnovers, but I think much more of the points allowed comes down to poor red zone defense. Commanders' rushing defense was one of the best, but these corners could not hang on quick passes that took away the effectiveness of their elite pass rush like the ones you see in the red zone. They also only had 9 interceptions as a team. That's the 5th fewest in the league. I give you all these stats to tell you I think they recognized their problems and finally fixed them this offseason. Their first 2 picks in the draft were pick 16 cornerback Emmanuel Forbes and pick 47 nickel/safety Jartavius Martin. So let's take a look at the first missing piece, Emmanuel Forbes. He holds the record for most career pick 6s in FBS history with 6. He also had 14 total interceptions in his career. Forbes is an elite ball hawk, and some people say that it was all the quarterback's fault for bad passes, but the guy just has incredible hands. He reminds me of Trayvon Diggs in that sense. If there's a ball in his vicinity, then he's got a chance to make a play on it. So it's clear the Commanders had their priorities straight in how to fix this defense. Now, people are worried about Forbes' size, understandably, at 166 pounds, and I did some too, but the tape says we shouldn't. In 2022, he had 209 snaps in press on the outside, and he looked just fine. He played fine against the run and showed a willingness to get his nose dirty. And he showed quite often that not only could he quickly diagnose underneath routes like screens or drag routes, but also that he would bring the physicality to blow them up. But make no doubt it's his movement skills, ball skills, and high IQ that make Forbes who he is. Let's take a look at this play versus Kentucky. Forbes is in press man on the outside, and Will Levis sends his receiver in motion. Now something tells Forbes what play is coming. He must have studied what the Wildcats like to do in short yardage situations when they are in this formation with this motion, because he knew this was coming. You can see his body angle shows he's ready to drive downhill and make a play way before Will Levis even gets turned to throw this ball. Forbes also ran a 4.35 at the combine, and that athleticism shows up on tape. He can recover when beat early, stick with receivers all down and across the field, and his great ball skills allow him to break up so many passes. He is even off to a good start early in joint practices, as you can see here, breaking up a pass to Odell. He does a good job of not looking back when he is out of phase and just playing through the receiver's hands. And it's really no surprise with his 89.3 coverage grade in 2022 according to PFF, which was one of the highest in the nation. So that's Forbes, an athletic ball hawk who can be one-on-one against vertical threats or use his IQ to break up plays underneath. But now, let's take a look at the other missing piece, Jartavius Martin. Martin had an incredible combine that no doubt boosted his draft stock. He ran a 4.46 40, which is solid. His 11-foot 1-inch broad, that was outstanding. And his 44-inch vertical led all positions at the entire combine. There's so much potential to work with here, but he is far more than just an athlete. He can blanket receivers in man coverage with his fluid and quick movement skills. If he does get beat early, he has great recovery speed to still affect the play downfield. Martin brings physicality to the catch point, often jarring the ball loose, forcing 15 incompletions, which was second highest in the nation. Quarterbacks only had a 46% completion rate when targeting him. He loves to get his hands on receivers, whether it's in press or off coverage, to disrupt their routes, and he's a real asset against the run, shedding receivers' blocks and always securing the tackle with one of the lowest missed tackle rates in college football. That showed in his first preseason action as well, where he racked up 4.5 tackles. But one of the most exciting things about Jartavius Martin is his versatility. Del Rio loves to mix up his coverages, as you can see here. He used Bobby McCain all over the field last year in many different roles, and with McCain now a New York Giant, I think Martin is the perfect man to take that role. Martin is listed as the nickel, which is his best fit given his man skills and ability to affect the run. But when Del Rio wants to run some of his fire zones and rotate zone responsibilities, Martin can do that. He can also align in different spots depending on what look they want each week. Last season, he played 493 snaps in the nickel, 177 deep, 75 out wide, and 44 in the box. He will roam around this defense and make plays in the run, in man, and zone. Now, he is currently behind Benjamin St-Juste in the depth chart, but I can guarantee you that will not last as he adjusts to his new defense. The Commanders' defense is finally whole. They have talent and high draft capital invested at every level of the field. Some of that talent is in its prime, while some others are still young and just scratching the surface of their potential. But now that the Commanders don't have to rely on old or frankly not very talented corners, and they have some fresh legs in their secondary, there is no doubt in my mind they are ready to be one of the very best defenses in the league. This D-line has been very productive and it's just going to get better now that they have the talented back end to make quarterbacks hold the ball a little longer. They are sure to force more turnovers and allow less points in the red zone. And I think it's safe to say the Commanders will be a defense that no opposing team wants to face this season, in large part thanks to new additions Emmanuel Forbes and Jartavius Martin. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to leave me a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss out on what comes next. I'm going to try and make a video every single week, so I'll see you again soon.